So where are we up to? Okay, so we left off on the bottom. We left off on the bottom of what was it?
The top of Peches.
We got to we did the top, right? What do we right, I'm sorry, right. We got to the top of Peches Amud Aleph. Thank you. All right, so again, we're discussing this whole mishna of when the husband makes a t'nai that with his wife, that his wife's not going to make any, he's not going to swear or anything. I mean, she's not going to have to. Right. So now we said that there's a few places that she's going to have to make a what do you call it? She's going to have to make shuas anyway. So one of them was if she's taking the money from Yisayim. The other one was if she's going to take it from nechasim that are meshubet, meaning like from liens. And the other one is what we'll get to in the next Gemara, is if the husband's not around, he's overseas. So let's see. So menachasim mishubadim. So the first one is that she has to make a shvua. If she's going to go collect her kesuba from somebody else, meaning the husband before he died went and sold his kesuba, sold a land to somebody, and now he has no money to pay the kesuba, so she's allowed to go get that land from the person that he sold it to and say, hey, I came first, right? But if that's the case, she has to make a shvua that she never got any payments. So Tanan Hasam v'cheina Yisayim la yiparu ela b'shvua. Yisayim also can't get paid unless they make a shvua. Meaning here, it's the Yisayim that are going to collect the money. I mean, their father lent somebody money. Now he died, so the Yisayim want to collect on that loan. So the Gemara is saying that Yisayim can't get paid unless they make a shvua. So Gemara asks me, man, who are they collecting money from? If they're just collecting from a borrower, if the father would take it without a shvua, then they're going to have to take with a shvua. Meaning, if the father just had a star, right, and he showed them with the star. I mean, he showed the star, so he doesn't have to make a shvua. Whoever owns the star, whoever has the paper that says you owe me money, so then they get paid. So why should the kids have to do that? Right? So why should the kids have to make a shvua? So that can't be. We're not talking about where the Yisayim are getting it from a regular guy, right? They're getting it from another set of Yisayim, meaning both fathers died. So there they would have to make a shvua. They only get it with a shvua. So Amar Rav Zika, Amar Rav Yehuda, Lo Shanu Ela Shamru Yisayim. This is only talking about where the Yisayim said, Amar Lanu Abba Lavisi Parati. My father said that I borrowed money, but I paid it back. Right? Meaning the borrower Yisayim said, my father said, yeah, he acknowledged that there was a loan, but he paid it back. So then they have to make a shvua. But if the kid said the father said he never even borrowed any money, and again there's a star here that says he did, then af b'shvua lo yipar, then they don't even need a shvua. The meaning the Yisayim that are going to collect the loan don't even need a shvua because they have a star, and the guy said he never even borrowed it. So we can't say that he, meaning what the Gemara's Havamina right now, the Gemara's going to change it in a second. The Gemara's Havamina is that if he says that he borrowed and he paid it back, so it could be he did pay it back, right? But to say that he never borrowed, and then there's a star saying that he did, that can't be. So therefore, there's no shvua. So the Gemara asks immediately, maskul rava adarava. It's the opposite. If somebody says I never borrowed, that's like saying I never paid it back. right? So therefore, for sure he should not. Meaning, we were saying that if he says he didn't pay it back, then he can take it without a shvua. Right here he's saying no, it should be the other way around. Right? And Memela, it's as if they're moida, that they agree that there was a loan here, and they're saying that they didn't pay it back.
Yeah,
So therefore,
how is that a proof? I mean, it's like a kal v'chomer. You would say kal v'chomer that if I never borrowed the money, of course I didn't pay it back. I don't have to. I have no chiyuv. It's a stronger argument to say I didn't have to pay them, as opposed to say I never borrowed it. Why would I pay them?
no, he's saying, I'm sorry. I think I don't know if I explained it wrong. Let's take a step back. When it says af b'shvua lo yiparu, even with the shvua, I think I said they collected even without a shvua. It means I was mixing it up with the next. Af b'shvua lo yiparu means if the kids say that the father said he never borrowed it, then even with a shvua, they cannot collect on this loan, right? Because we're assuming that it's the star was forged. To which Rava is saying, which should be the opposite. If the guy said I never borrowed it, right? So then that's like he said that there was a loan, but I never paid it back.
Right. I'm questioning Rava's statement. How does that make sense? I understand he's saying if I never borrowed the money.
Correct,
sense.
but
That's
he's all
proof that he never made a payment. But it's it's like you're trying to prove a double negative here.
Correct. But here's the thing. I think the way the Gemara is coming from that Lamaisa, he's saying that he never paid it back.
Because he never borrowed it. It's a stronger argument, no? Maybe I'm missing.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, he's admitting that he didn't pay it back.
Right. I hear that.
You're right. I hear what you're saying.
It's not a raya.
Correct.
Should he have said he never borrowed it? In this that he said that he never paid it back makes it look less. He would have just said that I never borrowed it. I never took no money from you. So what am I? What? Don't say I didn't pay it back. I didn't take nothing from you. That in itself is saying that I never paid you back. There's no chiyuv.
Right, there's no chiyuv, but Rav is using that to say you're mechuyev that you never made a payment, not because you didn't owe the money, but you're admitting you never made a payment.
Right, but the point is that the way the Gemara at least is saying it now, he's admitting that he never paid it back. Meaning in the other case, he said I borrowed it, but I paid it back. Here, he's saying I never paid it back, and we have a star here that says that he borrowed the money. Then he's denying the star, right? Okay, I hear what you're saying, but it seems like at the end game is he's saying I never paid it back, and there's a star here that says it. So if that's the case, then they should be able to collect on it. And that's yeah. So Gemara says Eliyat Marachim. So let's switch it. Amar Rav Zeik, Amar Rav Yehuda, Lo Shanu Ela Shamru Yisaimim. That's only when the Yisaimim say Amar Lanu Abba Lavisi Parati. Our father said that he borrowed it and he paid it back. Aval Amru. But if they said Amar Lanu Abba Lavisi, that our father said he never borrowed it, then Nifrayan Shaloi B'Shvua. Then they're even allowed to collect without a shvua. Why? Because anybody who says he didn't borrow, it's as if he said that I haven't paid. All right, so the Gemara just switches it.
Which way is better, to say I didn't borrow it or to say I never paid it back? He says he didn't borrow it. What's he paying back for?
No, he's saying
wasn't that basically Avi's kasha? That was what Avi was asking, essentially. But he's not. There's no taina here. We didn't pay back. The whole taina is we didn't borrow. And Rava
Right.
asks, the problem is you're going up against the shtar. The shtar says you did borrow. So they can't have a tiny you didn't borrow. So Chach, at least they're saying that we didn't pay back. If they're saying they didn't borrow, they definitely didn't pay anything back.
But if they have,
So now you have a shtar that says you have a shtar
the
that
shtar
says you
should not get
borrowed.
anything.
Then you have Hidas Baldin now. You have a shtar that said that the father borrowed, and they're saying that the father told him he never paid back. You don't need a shavua anymore. Just pay it.
Right, but that's he's here saying loy lavisi, meaning if the father said I never borrowed, then
if there's no shtar, he'd have a taina. That's lahadam.
Correct, but there's a shtar here, right? So loy lavisi nefrayin shaloi b'shvua, right? If he said I never borrowed it, then they can take it back without a shvua because he says loy lavisi. It's as if he didn't. He said I didn't pay because lamaisa he's claiming he did not pay. Right? He's being worried that he didn't pay. There's a shtar here. See, Rabbeinu, I think that it would be if he didn't have a shtar. So then, yeah, but here you have a shtar that says it. The question is it a possible shtar?
In both cases, it doesn't matter as long as there's a shtar saying that he owes the money. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter if they say there was never a loan, or it doesn't matter if they say they never paid it back.
It does. No. It does.
Why?
It makes a difference of a shvua. If they were just saying that he paid it back.
It makes a difference in the shvua, but the bottom line, they're going to have to pay, I assume.
Yeah, sure.
Because they have a shtar.
I think we're understanding also the words Leila Visi. The words Leila Visi could be understood as lahadam, or they could be understood as this is the reason we didn't pay back. We didn't pay anything back because it was never borrowed.
There was never a debt, yeah.
So we know there is a debt. So all they're saying now is we didn't pay back. That's all they're actually saying.
Okay, all right. So then they have to pay.
So that's Hidas Baldin
against them. That's it. Yeah.
And you have Hidas Baldin with the shtar. That's a very powerful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's okay. So that's what it is. What? I'm fine. Okay. So let's see. Let's say she wants to take payment from her husband's for the kesuba when the husband's on a business trip. He divorced her and then he went overseas. Now she decides she wants to get a kesuba. So she can only do it with a shvua. So Amar Rav Acha, Sar Habira, which is an interesting name. That was his nickname, Sar Habira. Ma'isa balafnei Rav Yitzchak ba'antuchya. There's a story that came in front of Rav Yitzchak. V'amar lo yishanu ela l'ksubas isha. That's for ksubas isha that you can't collect. Right? Because of chen, because we wanted to make sure. It seemed like they had the shidduch crisis. Like Aaron Kaplan had said last week, they had the shidduch crisis in the reverse. The women didn't want to marry the men. So they had to make sure that the women wanted to marry the men. So they had to make sure that the kesuba was attractive to them. So the woman needed to know that they'll be able to collect on the kesuba even if the husband's not around. But a bal chayiv, meaning stam, a guy that's in debt, is not allowed to. He's not, meaning a guy is not allowed to come collect the debts when the fellow is overseas, even with the shvua, right? Because it's not right to start a whole court case if the guy's not around to defend himself. But Rav Amar Rav Nachman, afilu bal chayiv, even a bal chayiv, even a bal chayiv, Rav says, can still collect it with a shvua, right? Because otherwise people are going to take the money, and then they're going to go overseas, right? Meaning a guy's going to borrow money, he's going to go overseas and say, yeah, they can't come after me now because I'm overseas. And then the lenders are going to get smart and they're going to say, okay, this guy's going to run away, so I'm not lending any more money. About the Noel Delis, and then you're going to end up closing the door in front of borrowers, right? Which is the reason for prusbul, et cetera, et cetera. We need to keep the economy going. There has to be always money available to be lent. So if you're not going to collect from these guys that are going overseas, then you're going to have a problem. All right, so that's the Machlokes, whether this halacha applies to a bal chayiv or not. Fine. Then the last part of the Mishnah was very unclear. The last part of the Mishnah said, so the Mishnah, again, I went through a few scenarios where a husband says that he's not going to make the wife make a shvua or a neder. First one was on himself, then it was on his yarshim, then on her yarshim, etc., etc. Then Reb Shimon says at the end of the Mishnah, if she asks for her kesuba, then she What does it say again? If she asks for her kesuba, then the Yarshin make her make a shvua before she gets her kesuba. But if she doesn't ask for her kesuba, then the Yarshin don't make her swear. So what's he going on? Which part of the Mishnah? So there's going to be three options in the Mishnah of what Reb Shimon is disagreeing with. So Gemara asks, Reb Shimon Aheya, which case is Reb Shimon disagreeing with? So Rav Yirmiyah, he's going on this case, right? Which was the last case in the Mishnah. V'nifrash shaloi b'fanav. If she wants to come get paid when the husband's not there, not this, that wasn't the last case. Was it the last case? I think, was it? I don't know. Anyways, so leisifra ela b'shvua. She can only, if she wants to get paid when the husband's not around, she has to do with a shvua. Lo shnam lezayni v'lo shna l'ksuba. It doesn't make a difference, and the Mishnah, because the Mishnah doesn't differentiate, it doesn't make a difference if she's asking for money for her support, because besides for the husband having to pay the kesuba, he also has to support the almana. So it doesn't make a difference if she's asking for mezayna, for food, or for the kesuba, she has to swear. Also, Reb Shimon Lemema, Reb Shimon says no. Kozman should ask kesuba. So if she's asking for kesuba money, then Yasher Mashbina. So then the Yarshim can make her make a shvua on Amud Beis. Aina tevas kesuba. So if she's not asking for her kesuba, right, all she's asking for is her food, and then Ein Yarshin Mashbina. So then Reb Shimon says that the Yarshim will not make her make a shvua. So again, we have a Machlokes in the Mishnah, in the Tanakama, and Reb Shimon, whether if the woman comes and asks for food when the husband's overseas, whether she has to make a shvua that the husband didn't leave her money or didn't leave her an open account in the grocery store, right? So she has to make a shvua because otherwise she could double collect. Maybe the husband left her money and now she's coming to Beis Din. She figures the husband's not around. She can double dip, right? So we say that that's not that's what she would. I mean, that's the machlokes. Because Reb Shimon says she doesn't make a shvua because we're not concerned for that. And the Tanakama says we do make a shvua. So what's the machlokes? And they're arguing with the machlokes between Hanan and the sons of the Kahanim Gedolim, which is quite an interesting, a lot of interesting names on this stuff. The Tanan, somebody goes overseas, and his wife says she wants food. So Hanan she has to make a shvua at the end, meaning when she at Basayf means the end of the relationship is when she asks her kesuba. Should have reviewed this. She gets paid, the almana gets paid until she decides to ask for kesuba. Once she asks for her kesuba, then she's out. She doesn't get food money anymore. But Kozman, she doesn't ask for kesuba, then the estate or the kids, whoever has to support her. So Hanan says that she makes a shvua at the end, meaning she asks for her food money. She doesn't have to make a shvua, but once she takes kesuba money, then she has to make a shvua. But she does not make a shvua at the beginning when she's asking for food. But the Kahanim Gedolim disagree, and they say no, she has to make a shvua in the beginning when she comes to collect food, that her husband never left her any food or money for food, and she also has to make the shvua. That's the machlokes of between Hanan and the Bnei Kahanim Gedolim, and Reb Shimon kechanan. Reb Shimon holds like Hanan that you only make the shvua for the kesuba, but Rabbanan Bnei Kahanim Gedolim, and the Rabbanan go like the Bnei Kahanim Gedolim that she always has to make a shvua for anything that she wants to take from the husband's estate. Fine. So then Maskal Rav Sheishes, Hi Yarshin Mashbiyun Oisa. Then if that's the case, when the terminology that's used, that when Reb Shimon says the Yarshin make her make a shvua, the Yarshim are not the ones making her make a shvua. Beis Din mashbiyun oisa b'bayla. It should say that Beis Din makes her make a shvua, right? Meaning Reb Shimon is saying that she only has to make the shvua from the kesuba, right? So when he's saying that the Yarshin, why should it say that the Yarshin are not the ones making the shvua, right? It's the Beis Din that is, right?
Even though you technically could understand the same words, that it's because the Yershin there that she has to make a shvua. That's Yershin Mashbiyun Oisa. Because the Yershin are there, she has to make a shvua. Or rather, because there are Yershin.
Well, I'm saying, if she comes to Beis Din, if Reb Shimon is saying this din, even if she doesn't collect, what do you call it, right? if she's just coming to collect food, then it could be even when he's alive. Right? That din would apply even if he's alive.
Wait, but
kids
it's
are not
only going on the
responsible.
line of the Mishnah with Yarshim.
No, so
Yisayim.
if the Yarshin comes, so then Mashpia Noisa. Beis Din Mashpia Noisa Mevaila. Right? Meaning the Yarshin, right?
The Yarshin of the power that forces the
Right,
shvur.
but if
They
right, but if
force
she's-
Beis Din to make him make a shvur.
correct, but if she's coming to ask for money and it's not for ksuba money, it's for food money, then who's making her make the shvur? Who would theoretically make her make the shvur?
Still the
according to Reb Shimon?
Yarshim.
No, why the Yarshim? That's not, he's alive. Oh? If she's coming to Beis Din, he's
No,
alive.
that's for the previous case of the Mishnah.
No,
From
but that's
Venus
what he's
Hayam.
saying. He's saying only when Yarshim, only when she asks for ksuba money, then the Yarshim. Fine.
I
Mashma.
don't understand it that way. We're still going on the Gemara's answer
least-
is
at
that
least
it's
you
referring to
understand
that
it. At least
case
you
of the Mishnah.
At least you understand it one way. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. No, I'm saying, but that's what it seems to be. That's what it seems to be. Maybe I don't know. Taisus has a tzarachian, but it's from the Gemara later. I don't know if that's what you're asking, right? But that's okay. I don't know if that's what you're asking. Oh, may it is okay. Fine. So either way, so the Gemara slugs it up based on the terminology of Reb Shimon, and it should say that Beis Din makes them make a shua, not the Yarsh. So okay, so Elamar of Sheshes. This Amud Beis is a shtickle of freebie for Daf Yomi learners, for anybody, because for whatever reason, the Gemara chooses to read over the entire sections of the Mishnah that it says. It's going to do it twice now. Yeah. So Elamar of Sheshes. Rav Sheshes says, aha, it's going on a different part of the Mishnah. Halcha mikever, this is the end of the Mishnah also. Halcha mikever, baila lebeis avir. She goes from the burial of her husband straight back home, meaning she has nothing to do with the finances after her husband dies. She goes straight back to her father's house. Or she goes to her father-in-law's house, which means she goes back to her husband's house, but she did not become an aputrpis. She did not take hold of the finances. The Yarshin don't make her make a shvur. Vim nasis apotropia, and if she did become an aputrpis, so in Yarshin mashpia noisa asid lava, the Yarshin can only make her make a shvur on things that happen financially from after when the father dies. Right? Yesterday we saw whether it was when the father died, or from the kfura, from the death, whatever it is. But only from then on can they make her make a shvur. Vein mashpia noisa al masha'ava, and we don't make her make a shvur on what happened in the past. So that's what the Mishnah says. When she is asking for her ksuba, Yarshin mashpia noisa, then the Yarshin can make her make a shvua, right? Meaning, if she wants to come collect her ksuba, then even though the father had made a t'nai that the wife is never going to have to make shvuas, but no, when she wants her ksuba, Reb Shimon says she has to make a shvua. But if she doesn't want her ksuba, she's not asking for the ksuba. The Yarshin don't have to make her make a shvua. And what's the Machlokes? And the Machlokes is by Abashol Rabbanon. The Tanan, aputrpis, shemineo avi yisayim. If you have an aputrpis who was the father made him an aputrpis. I mean, before he died, he knew he has young kids, so he appointed this guy as a what do we call him? Executor or not executor? We had a name for it. Okay, whatever, an aputrpis.
Power of attorney?
Power of attorney, some form of power of attorney. Anyway, so Yeshava, he has to make a shvua. This aputrpis is required to make a shvua to the Yisayim that he's not pulling any shenanigans with their finances. Minu Beis Din, but if Beis Din appointed him to be, meaning the father before he died never appointed the guy to take care of it, but so Beis Din had to. Then lo yeshava, then he doesn't make a shvua. Now the reason why the Tanakama holds this, the Rabbanon hold this, is because if Beis Din's going to go hire a guy to be in charge of Yisayim's things, and Beis Din says, by the way, anytime these Yisayim want to get you, they're just going to make you make a shvua. Who is possibly going to sign up for that? Nobody, right? If the father appointed him, so he feels like, oh, the father asked me to take care of his kids, he assigned him. Okay, so even though he knows he has to make a shvua, then, but Beis Din has to do it. Nobody's going to sign up for that. That's
Is there also a chashash of bizei Beis Din here?
Because
Beis Din appointed him, and now he's going to have to make a shvua.
Right,
You don't trust Beis Din. You do trust Beis Din. Which one?
I wonder if that's a reason. I don't know. That's a good point. Yeah. But of course, Abashal says the exact opposite, right? Minu Beis Din. If Beis Din appointed him, then Yeshava, then he has to swear, right? Because the bottom line is he wasn't appointed by the father, so we have no idea if this guy's legit. Minu Avi Yisaimim lo Yeshava. But if the father appointed the aputrpis, then you don't make a shvua, right? Why? So Rashi says because a chash of a thing. If Beis Din appoints you as an aputrpis over Yisaimim's money, that must be that you're a legit guy. So even though you know you're gonna have to make a shvua, you're still gonna take it. Okay, so Reb Shimon Kabashol. So Reb Shimon goes like Abashol, who says that you have to make that Beis Din, if Beis Din appoints aputrpis, and then you have to make a shvua, or the aputrpis make a shvua. Rabbanan ka Rabbanan, and the Rabbanan hold like the Rabbanan, which sounds comical. The Rabbanan hold like the Rabbanan, but it doesn't mean that's the same Rabbanan. That's all, right? Doesn't mean it could be it's the same Rabbanan, but it not necessarily, right? So then, okay, so what does this have to do? We're talking about a lady coming from the kesuba, for the kesuba, right? So it must be that we're not talking about, it must be that it has to be that it's the wife acting as the aputrpis, right? That's what it has to be here. She's not coming. I mean, what is a machlokes? What if a wife is coming to get her kesuba? What does that have to do with an aputrpis? Elamai, she must have been appointed as aputrpis, right? So that's how we're saying the Machlokes is in a maskav lo abaya. So again, on a technical point, and what asks on this maskav lo abaya, hi calls man shetovas ksubasa. So why is Reb Shimon saying at any time she asks for her ksuba? Im tovas mibayle. Shouldn't have said when she says, it's just if she does, right? Meaning that he's being more machmer than. Meaning, if you say calls man, so then that sounds like a chumrah, right? But here it's not really a chumrah; it's really more like it's more of a kula, right? Because Reb Shimon is saying that she doesn't, if she's not coming for the kesuba, then she doesn't have to make any shuas, right? Meaning, al aputrpis, she does not have to make a shua. If she decides she wants to ask for a kesuba, then she has to make a shua. But al aputrpis, she doesn't have to make a shua. And the Rabbanan is saying that she would. At least from Mikana Laba. Okay, so now we're on to the third part of the Mishnah. Elam Rabaya. It's going on this case. Kasala, if he writes to his wife, Neder Shvua Ainli Alecha, I'm not going to have a Neder Shvua not on you. Ainli Yochel Ashbiya, he's not allowed to make a Shvua. Neder Shvua Ainli, Velayla Yarshi, Velayla Bayim Rashusi. If he says, I'm not going to make a Shvua, and not anybody inherits me, and not anybody that comes with Rashusi, Alecha, Val Yorshecha, anybody that's inheriting you or it's coming from your end, he's not allowed to make a shvua. Not him, not his yarshim, not anybody that comes from with his rishus, and not her, and not any of her people. So that's a quote from our Mishnah. Meaning, if that's what the husband says to the wife, then nobody's going to be able to make you make a shvua. Fine. Reb Shimon says, whenever, if she asks her ksuba, then they could make her make a shvua. Which was in yesterday's daf. They're arguing in the same thing that Abashol ben Miriam is arguing with the Rabbanon. Which was, the Machlokes there was that Abashol ben Miriam had said that really, when they make a Tanai, the husband says that she's not going to make a shvua, it really should make her exempt. However, anytime the Chachamim made a din, anytime anybody takes any money from Yisayim, they have to make a shvua, and that has priority. That was Abashol ben Ima, and the Rabbanon said not. So we're saying Reb Shimon ka Abashol, Reb Shimon holds like Abba Shol that anytime anybody wants to come take money from Yisraelim, then that's it. They have to make a shvuah, even if they would promises not. For Rabbanon, Kirabanon, the Rabbanon hold like the Rabbanon. Again, the same thing that even if as long as the father made a t'nai that nobody's going to make the wife make a shvuah, then that's it. And so then Maskal Rav Papa, so Rav Papa asked the Kasha, Hatinach Kozman Shedevas Ksubasa. That all works when she says that she wants her ksuba. But if she doesn't ask her ksuba, what are you going to say? Meaning, why is when there's two sentences that Reb Shimon said. He says, if she asks her ksuba, then you have to make her make a shvuah. But if she does not ask her ksuba, then you don't make her make a shvuah. What is that? What's that? Of course she doesn't make her make a shvuah. She's not asking for anything in the Yisraelim. Tell him Rav Papa. So Rav Papa says no. Reb Shimon is saying that the halacha is not like Rabbi Eliezer and those that disagree with him, which is going back Friday's daf, which was that, maybe it's Thursday's daf, which was that the Mishnah says that a husband, if his wife becomes runs the store for him, he can make her make a shvuah whenever he wants. And Rabbi Eliezer says not only that, he can make her make a shvuah when she bakes or when she sews, that she didn't steal anything from him. Right, so that's a machlokes, how far a husband could go making his wife make shvuahs. So Reb Shimon is saying, not like either one of them. Reb Shimon is saying the only time a husband can make a wife make a shvuah is when she wants her ksuba. Other than that, a husband can never make his wife make shvuahs about anything, and therefore that's what Reb Shimon's coming to say. Okay, it's a pretty quick daf. I hope it was understandable. I'll give a mazel tov to Gershon Russell and the bar mitzvah if anybody missed in the last couple of days. Right, they should have a lot of nachas.
Eretz is already shaking his head. He didn't miss me.
I was going to say, Tiago, you taking a vote? Are you taking a vote?
You know what we said yesterday? Well, Eretz, you know what we said yesterday? Like that, the difference between a Maida b'miktsas and the woman collecting the ksuba, even though she admits, right? The Maida b'miktsas, he's being asked for money, right? And now he makes a shvuah, he doesn't have to give anymore. But the lady is making a shvuah and she's collecting. So here, instead of us giving Gershon a bar mitzvah present, he gave us a bar mitzvah present, right? There we go.
We got to hear what
My
Rabbi weighs
pleasure.
in on this one.
That's right. Yeah. Anyways, I should have a lot of nachas.
The Gemara, this Gemara, Tiago, with the women is like the same thing. She didn't shop in, what was the shoe store that he said?
Oh, Jill Doors.
Yeah, Jill Doors. Make a shvuah.
Yeah, that's true, Taka, right? That's exactly, that's a good point, Peretz. That's what you have to make them make the shvuahs. Right?
Yep, that's what I figured. He would have piped in on Friday, whenever it was we were learning it. I was waiting for, where's the Jill Door Meiser?
You couldn't tell me this before they started shopping for the bar mitzvah?
Yeah. Anyways, all right, I got to run off to Brooklyn now to 3 vorts, but I'm just driving. I ain't going in, I hope.
Mazel tov, enjoy.
Who makes a vort on a
That's Shikayach.
Sunday night in the Aseret Yimei Tshuva? Rebbeinu Shalom.